Okay, in this video, we're going to continue where we left off. We were programming the paddle, and you can go ahead and test that out if you want to, but it shouldn't be any change from what we saw before. Now, what we want to do is clean things up here a little bit. Then we're going to program the ball so it can bounce all over the place. Okay, so first of all, we had the nodes here. We had the constrain to attribute to, let's click on it so it makes it a little bit easier. If we double click in here, it says constrain attribute, but let's make it a little more specific. Let's call it constrain to mouse attribute. Okay, so we know what we want the position of the mouse, to be constrained. Okay, now in this group here, what we're calling this group, let's say colon here, double click in there. We're saying keep paddle locked into the Y axis. All right, so we don't want that paddle to be going all over the place. We just want it left and right here. Okay, so that's what we want, is just little notes to ourselves. We're organizing our code here is basically what we're doing here. Okay. And this one is also, we have a constraint attribute. The second one here is a constraint to mouse change attribute, rather. This one is change. This one is constraint to mouse attribute. Okay, enter. So that cleans things up there a little bit. Okay, so now I think we're ready to go ahead and begin to program our ball actor. Okay, so if we click on the ball actor now, okay, what we want to do is we want to bring in a couple of collide codes here. So let's go to our coding area or behavior area. And so if we bring in the collision, see, we drop that in there. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Sorry. It's the collide, this one, the collide behavior, the one with the P next to it. That's the one we want. This one is uses behavior when you want to control which actor or groups of actors to bounce against. That's what we're trying to do here. Okay, you can specify these actors or a group of actors with a tag. That's what we want, because that's the benefit of, again, using these tags. Okay, so go back here. All right, so now what we want to say is bounce, not with actor type, but we want to change that to actor with tag. Okay, and we would just want to simply select bounceable object. So anytime it hits a bounceable object, and remember, what's our bounceable objects? Let's take a look again. Our bounceable objects are paddles and walls. So what we're saying is, remember, we're programming the ball. So we're saying anytime it bounces off the paddle or a wall, we want it to bounce. That's what that says. Okay. Now, we also want it to bounce when it collides with a destroyable object. Okay. We still want it to bounce when it and a destroyable object, again, here is a brick, of any brick, right? So let's do that. So let's bring in another one. So we can actually just hit the Alt here and drag this down. It'll make a exact copy of that. That's an easy way of doing that. And just change this to destroyable objects. Okay, so, but we still haven't, if you play this, and you can go ahead and try that, pause the video and try it if you want, it's not going to do anything because we haven't really programmed the ball to move yet. Okay, so let's start to program that. Okay, so what we want to do is bring in what's called the random initial velocity. Okay, so, and I think this is going to be just your normal change velocity, specify movement in a particular angle relative to the actor or to the scene. That's what we want. Let's bring that in. Okay, and so what we want to bring in here, so when we click down on here, change move it to go in direction. So right now, it'll just in direction would be going to the right because 0 is to the right, and we know that. But we want the direction to be random. So this is where our functions come in. Okay, math functions are great for this because we have a function called random that will randomize the movement of our ball. So we want to say 250 as a minimum and 290. Okay, close the parentheses, make sure it looks like that. Okay, check. We want it relative to the scene, not the actor, to the scene. And let's change that speed. And you can adjust the speed if you want to, but let's make that speed to be 150. Okay. So that takes care. And again, it's the change velocity action rather. Okay, it's an action behavior. Okay, but just so you know what it is, let's change the name to random initial velocity. Okay, but don't get confused. Maybe in parentheses here we should say that it's a change velocity action. Okay. All right. Now, let's bring in a new rule. All right. So once we change the velocity action, what we want to do is we want to bring in this collision condition. A condition statement that makes the triggering of behaviors dependent on an actor colliding with another. So this is condition. All right. So when they collide, we want something to happen. So let's call this here collide with paddle. So when the ball collides with the paddle, what do we want to happen? Collide with paddle rule. Okay. So this is fine. You leave that alone. Actor collides or overlaps with actor of type. And then here we can say player paddle. Okay. First, we want it to play a sound, right? We want to hear something happening. So let's go to our play sound. Here it is. We want to play sound. And which sound? Let's go ahead and make it blip. So let's choose our blip sound file. Okay. Run to completion is fine. Go volume at 1. All this is fine. You don't have to do anything else. That's it for that. Okay.